Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Well, the Commonwealth Games are often remembered for the expected champions. The weightlifters who always dominate, the wrestlers who rarely disappoint, the shooters who return home with medals in almost every edition. But every Commonwealth Games has another story, a story that is not written by favourites, a story that belongs to athletes who arrive quietly with little attention, carrying years of struggle, sacrifice and belief. At Glasgow 2026, India certainly celebrated its established stars, but some of the loudest cheers came from names that very few expected to stand on the podium. Not just medals, these were moments that changed Indian sporting history forever. Hello and welcome. You're watching Deep Dive. Let's begin with perhaps the most surprising stories of India's medal tally at the Commonwealth Games 2026. Sharmila Dhankar, when she stepped into the throwing circle for the women's F57 shot put final, very few imagined they were about to witness history. One throw, one moment, one gold medal, and suddenly India had its first ever Commonwealth Games gold medal in para-athletics. For decades, para-athletes have fought not only their competitors but also limited infrastructure, financial hardships and lack of recognition. Sharmila's gold was a victory over years of invisibility, a triumph announced to the sporting world that India's para-athletes are no longer outsiders. They are champions capable of leading the nation, and the celebrations did not end there. Standing beside her on the podium was another Indian. Then there is Shilpa K. Shaila. Her bronze completed something India had never achieved before, a historic double podium in Commonwealth Games para-athletics. Two Indians, one podium, a moment that symbolized how far para-sport has come in our country. Then came another historic first. Moving on to judo. The sport has never been amongst India's strongest medal sports. Unlike wrestling or boxing, Indian judokas rarely enter major competitions carrying the tag of favourites, but champions don't always arrive with expectations. Sometimes they create them. Asmita Dey stunned everyone by winning India's first ever Commonwealth Games gold medal in judo. Her achievement instantly rewrote the history books. Every major sporting nation has that one breakthrough moment that changes an entire sport. For India, judo, Asmita Dey became that moment. Young judokas across the country now have proved that Commonwealth gold is no longer a dream. It is achievable. Another athlete quietly scripting history was Sarvesh Kushare. Track and field has produced Indian stars before. Neeraj Chopra transformed javelin. But high jump, that remained untouched territory until Glasgow. Sarvesh soared over the bar to become the first Indian man ever to win a Commonwealth Games medal in high jump. He clinched the silver medal. There was no dramatic celebration, just relief, years of training condensed into one perfect jump. Athletics medals are amongst the hardest to earn because every nation invests heavily in them. For India to break new ground in a technical field, event like high jump speaks volumes about the country's changing sporting landscape. One of the most remarkable stories came from Jhandu Kumar in para-lifting. Powerlifting rarely grabs headlines. Even fewer expected India to finish on the podium. Yet, determination often succeeds where expectations fail. His bronze medal became one of India's most inspiring performances. Behind that bronze lies countless hours inside training halls where there are no cameras, no crowds and very little recognition. His success reminds us that medals are often forged in silence long before they are celebrated under bright lights. Another athlete who quietly entered the history books was Tejaswini Shankar. Tejaswini earned bronze to become the first Indian athlete to win a Commonwealth Games medal in the decathlon category. Then there was Gulveer Singh. Distance running has historically been dominated by athletes from East Africa. Indian runners have often struggled to break into medal contention. Gulveer changed that narrative. He returned home with two medals, silver in the men's 10,000 meters and bronze in the 5,000 meters. Two grueling races, two podium finishes. Double glory taken individually, these medals are historic. Viewed together, they tell a much larger story. India is changing. For decades, India's medal hopes depended heavily on wrestling, boxing, badminton and weightlifting. Today, that picture looks dramatically different. Para-athletics, judo, high jump, combined events, distance running, powerlifting, these are no longer fringe sports. They are becoming India's new medal frontiers. The significance of Glasgow 2026 lies not merely in the total number of medals, it lies in the diversity of success. The wider the range of sport producing champion, the stronger a sporting nation becomes. That is exactly what India showcased. Perhaps the greatest lesson from these games is this: history is rarely created by those everyone expects. Sometimes it is created by athletes training on forgotten grounds, by competitors traveling without fanfare, by champions whose names are unfamiliar until one extraordinary day changes everything. Shamila Dhankar, Asmita De, Sarvesh Kushare, Shilpa K. Shaila, Jhandu Kumar, Tejas Vinny Shankar, Gulveer Singh. Leading that list was none other than Mirabai Channu. Pressure follows greatness, and every competition becomes a question. Can she do it again in Glasgow? The answer was emphatic. Yes, Mirabai delivered India's first gold medal of the Games and secured an extraordinary hat-trick of Commonwealth Games titles. 3 editions, 3 gold medals. India has jumped to 4th spot in the medal tally with an unprecedented 16 medals, including a record 8 golds on day 9 of Commonwealth Games 2026. While surprise winners captured hearts, India's established champions reminded everyone why they remain icons. We're going to talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the program is Mr. Shekhar Vijayan, sports commentator. Ajit Verma, former silver medalist, winner. He's an athlete as well. Joining us, Mr. Anuj Mishra, sports journalist, and Mr. Krishna Swamy, senior journalist, is also joining us from London at this point in time. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Shekhar, I'll begin with you. Well, you know, for those who don't know, Shekhar, I hosted the 2010 Commonwealth Games with Charu Sharma. Shekhar, can you hear me?
Because I don't think all of us can hear the
Shekhar, can you hear me? All right, there seems to be a problem. Let me bring in Mr. Krishna Swamy, senior journalist, into this. Mr. Swamy, I hope you can hear me. Mr. Swamy? So I hope you can hear me. Perhaps not. Okay, Anuj, are you there with us? Anuj, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, Anuj, appreciate you being here with us. Well, this has been a great run for India when it comes to a medal tally. You know, athletics and para-athletics contributing 16 medals is something that one would have not envisaged a few years ago. What do you think has changed about training these individuals and introducing technology and science into their training that we are able to see these results, perhaps not in boxing and weightlifting and wrestling anymore, but in athletics and para-athletics?
I guess the major contribution to this is can be credited to the scientific enhancements that we are witnessing in the sporting ecosystem right now, where players, and not only players but their coaches, their mentors, can actually analyze what went wrong and focus on the things which the players do not need to do, rather than focusing on what needs to be done to win medals like silver, gold, etc. They also focus on what needs not to be do. So this is where scientific enhancement and everything related to that sporting science comes into pictures, and the how, and to see and to witness that how India is winning Commonwealth medals in the CWG. Personally speaking, I am not surprised, because I had that belief in India that they will scale high and high in the Commonwealth Games. And right now also comparing to the last few Commonwealth Games, I am thinking that today is the last day, and I feel there are few more medals which might come in India's box.
Okay, let me try bringing in Shekhar once again into this conversation. Shekhar, I hope you can hear me now.
Absolutely, Vineet. Absolutely.
You know, I remember the 2000 Commonwealth Games that happened in Delhi. I hosted them with Charu Sharma. The government had invited me to host them. And it was a different Commonwealth Games from what I hosted way back when and what I see at this point in time. Boxing, wrestling have always been, you know, the spine of Indian victories at these big events. But athletics and para-athletics, what do you think? Same question that I asked Anuj is, what do you think has changed in these disciplines that we are able to get these medals consistently?
I think the mindset, Vineet, the mindset. No, I was reading up about Ankush, who was trading 0-5 in boxing in the final round, and how he came back so strong. Not just him, you had a landmine blast survivor, which was Soman Rana. So many interesting stories, so many transformational stories, and it's now we've also realized that India is not just a one sport nation. We're not just winning medals in say boxing, or we are winning medals now in para athletics. We're winning medals in track events, and also notice that Commonwealth Games is a precursor to the Olympics. In Commonwealth Games we have done well, but the representation now is more versatile across all disciplines, across all sports. It's not just about weightlifting. It's not just about boxing. It is about everything else. It's about para athletics. It's about so many other disciplines, which is so interesting. It just goes to show that India is so multipolar in so many ways, and it just goes to show the kind of talent we have and how we can harness that talent to do even better. Winning 7 gold medals in boxing is not easy. And like for example, Gulvinder Singh in distance running, or Preeti Pawar, who won the gold medal from Haryana. I think these are all such interesting success stories, such interesting transformational stories who have done so well for India. And this is what India represents, right? The talent, the courage, the diversity, the transformation, and the medal is just an outcome of it. But the grit and the determination to do well, I think it speaks for itself.
Let me also bring in Mr. V. Krishnaswamy, veteran Indian journalist and author who's covered the sports ecosystem for decades now. Mr. Krishnaswamy, what do you make of this metamorphosis, if I can call it, of Indian disciplines at the Commonwealth Games that brought a smile to your face?
Yeah, well, I know many of the other panelists are far, far younger than I am. I have been seeing the Commonwealth Games now for exactly 40 years now. My first one was in 1986. So I've actually covered physically 10 games and covered actually 11, 10 on site. And I was in Glasgow the whole of the games and have just arrived into London when we started speaking. I think what Anuj said and what Shekhar said, yes, we are no longer a one sport nation. And I think the biggest, plus point for us in the last few years has been the tremendous amount of exposure that our athletes have been getting, and it's not just the athletics people, but it's also the weightlifters, the boxers, the wrestlers, etc. The hall at Commonwealth Games here in Glasgow, which was hosting a games, so soon after 2014, was actually this big hall is essentially because of that. And I'm glad that the boxers and the athletes have done so well. And also, para athletes, the inclusivity part in world sport is so very important now. They've done such a fantastic job. The judokas did a great job. This was a truncated games, just 10 disciplines, out of which India actually participated only in 8 and got medals in 5 or 6. I think this was a fantastic performance. And considering that India is going to be hosting the next games in 2030, it was extremely vital that India did a good job of it. And I think the boxers actually just excelled. To win 7 gold medals, that means half the team actually picked up a gold medal. We sent 14 boxers, 7 in men and women, and they all picked up, 7 of them picked up a gold medal and 3 silver. I think this was fabulous, the highest ever by a single nation in the history of Commonwealth Games in a single game. So I think that is a feather in the cap. And I was fortunate to be able to see most of those bouts there. I think the Indians actually gave a pretty dominating performance. In weightlifting, there were a little bit of here and there. When I say those are not actually negative things, but they were actually because, a little bit of inexperience on the part of the weightlifters. And Mirabai Chanu, if you look at her, 4th consecutive Commonwealth Games to win a medal. So I think there was a sense of longevity and also a sense of new faces coming into the sport. So I think overall, and somebody was mentioning Gulveer Singh, and like Tejaswin Shankar, decathlete and high jumper, coming back from an injury in high jump and then doing so well in decathlon also, almost touched 8,000 points.
Okay, so we have lost your frame. There seems to be a problem with your connection. Let me also bring in Ajit Verma, former silver medalist athlete, onto this conversation. Ajit, I hope you can hear me.
जी बोलिए.
जी अजीत, कैसा लग रहा है आज आपको देखकर कि इंडियन कंटिंजेंट इतना शानदार प्रदर्शन ग्लासगो में दिखा रहा है?
देखिए, जो खिलाड़ी जो बच्चे खेल रहे हैं या जो खिलाड़ी खेल रहे हैं, ये सारे हमारे जूनियर हैं. हमें बहुत खुशी है कि जिस विधा को, जिस जिस खेल को हमारे सीनियरों ने आगे बढ़ाया, हम लोगों ने बढ़ाया, उसके बाद आज हमारे जूनियर उसको आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। ये हमारे लिए गर्व की बात है कि हमारे देश का एक लड़का क्या नाम है, कुलवीर कुलवीर नाम है शायद उसका, उसने 27 मिनट के सराउंड में एक 10,000 मीटर पूरी की, जो हम लोगों मैं चूंकि मैं भी 10,000 मीटर से था, तो हम लोगों की टाइम में और आज के टाइम में बहुत डिफरेंस है। बट ये है, मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि हमारे देश के बच्चों ने बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म किया। मैं उन सभी बच्चों को शुभकामनाएं और बधाई देता हूँ, और देश के लोगों को भी बधाई देता हूँ कि हमारे देश के बच्चों ने इतने मेडल जीते।
Shekhar, coming back to you once again, the Commonwealth Games obviously going to happen in India as well in 2030. India has taken advantage of it the last time it happened in 2010 as well. What do you think the government can do in terms of infusing more energy into this high note that these athletes have been able to garner for the country?
I think first things first is appreciate, acknowledge their efforts which is put in, because these are all they're all our own brothers and sisters, and more than anything else, they come from the smaller towns, smaller cities, and the Prime Minister has been doing that right. He's been appreciating them, he's been acknowledging them, he's been speaking to them one-on-one. That is something they do. The second thing is, why don't they share best practice with every other discipline? Like we've seen this time around, it's not just one particular discipline which is winning medals. You've got so many disciplines winning medals. Why can't they share best practice with each other? Why can't we have a sporting culture which is created? So I think that sporting culture is very important, where you win and lose and you also look at it in the same manner. The third thing which is important is more focus on sporting infrastructure, with a focus on the Olympics, which a focus on why it's important, because then you also have the energy is used in the right way. And it's also important for people to realize that winning medals for India is also equally important. So appreciate, acknowledge, and reward and recognize these performers. Also appreciate, acknowledge the transformation stories, and if somebody has not done well, also appreciate the grit which comes behind that. Everyone wants to do well. There is so much of manifestation which is happening. There is so much of there is so much of success which happens along with it. There's so much of failure which happens along with it. I think the government has to create the right infrastructure for both success and failure to go side by side. There has to be a balance which has to be maintained, and I think that's where true leadership is really going to be in this accountability with responsibility.
Let me bring in Mr. Krishnaswamy once again. Mr. Krishnaswamy, we lost you there, sir, in the middle. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
All right. So we are already extremely happy and proud of what the Indian contingent has done. But in terms of infrastructure and creating this ecosystem that not only emulates but sort of improves upon the infrastructure that some of these other countries have, like Australia, what can India do, sir?
Well, for one, I think infrastructure is improving.
All right, so we've lost you there once again. Let me in fact go back to, sir, can you hear me, Mr. Krishnaswamy? Okay. Ajit, coming back to you. Ajit, अगर आप मेरी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं?
जी बोलिए, सुन रहा हूँ।
सुविधाओं को लेकर आपको क्या लगता है कि सुविधाओं में बढ़ोतरी हुई है? सरकार की एक जो निवेश की जो नीति है उसमें सुधार आया है खेल की तरफ?
देखिए, दो तीन चीजें हैं जो आपने बोला। जैसे सुविधाओं की अगर आप बात करेंगे, चूंकि अब आज की डेट में खेलों में कारपोरेट बहुत अपना योगदान कर रहा है, और जो भी परफॉर्मेंस है उसमें सरकार का भी योगदान है, कारपोरेट का भी योगदान है। जैसे बहुत सारी कंपनियां हैं जो अच्छे लड़के हैं उनको फॉरेन में कोचिंग वगैरह करा रहे हैं। इससे जाहिर सी बात है कि बच्चों के परफॉर्मेंस पे असर आ रहा है, वो बेहतर कर रहे हैं। बट अगर आप मेरे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की अगर आप मेरे ओपिनियन को जानना चाहते हैं, तो मेरा ये कहना है कि जब तक अगर हम लोग ग्राउंड लेवल पे जाके काम नहीं करेंगे, तब तक परफॉर्मेंस बहुत अच्छा नहीं हो सकता है। ये है कि सरकार के जो प्रयास हैं और जो कारपोरेट के प्रयास हैं, उस प्रयास से मेडल तो आ रहे हैं। बट ये है, इंडिया हमारा अच्छा कर सकता है अगर ग्रामीण लेवल पे मतलब खेलों को और जो है बच्चों को जागरूक किया जाए कि भाई कैसे आप जाएंगे, इससे आपको क्या बेनिफिट हो सकता है, और उससे जो पेरेंट्स को भी ये जानकारी हो कि भाई आपको अगर आपका बच्चा स्पोर्ट्स में जाएगा तो उसको क्या 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 मिल सकता है। तो इससे जो है परफॉर्मेंस और बढ़ेगा। तो मेरा ये मानना है कि जो भी परफॉर्मेंस है इसमें सामूहिक प्रयास है, खिलाड़ियों का, कोचेस का, सरकार का, प्राइवेट सेक्टर का। बट यह है कि इसमें और सुधार की आवश्यकता है।
All right. I'm going to try and bring in Mr. Krishnaswamy once again. I hope you can hear me, sir. We've been losing you while you speak. I hope you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can. I can.
All right. So, same question about resources, corporatization, as well as the improvement of infrastructure. How can that be better aligned and focused? All right. So, there seems to be a problem with your connection. We'll take a short break on that note. We'll be back on the other side with more news and updates.